Welcome back, GH fans! Port Charles is exploding with shocking betrayals, surprise arrests, and dangerous secrets. These days, the stories unfolding in Port Charles feel especially charged, like the writers have decided to turn up the heat on old grudges and hidden secrets. I remember when revenge plots used to simmer slowly, but lately, they seem to explode faster than anyone expects, and that energy is exactly what keeps me coming back. One thing that stands out to me is how several carefully laid revenge plans are beginning to backfire on the very people who started them. Take Brooke Lynn, for instance. She has been so determined to push Willow out of Chase's life and ruin her reputation. I thought at first she might succeed because Brooke Lynn has always been clever with her schemes, but I am seeing signs that this one is going to blow up in her face. From what I have observed, her plan will collapse, and she will have to confess to Chase that she was the one who fled the scene of Jordan's accident and tried to frame Willow. That confession is going to test their marriage like never before. In my opinion, this is different from the old days when characters could get away with secrets for months. Now the truth comes out quicker, and the emotional consequences feel more real. I wonder if Chase will find it in his heart to forgive her completely. I suspect it will take time, and that slow burn of doubt will make their story even richer. Then there is the situation with Sidwell. His obsession with going after Sonny has been building for a while, and I have to admit I was worried Sonny might finally meet someone who could outmaneuver him. But the more I watch, the more convinced I become that Sonny will come out on top again. He has already set a trap, and Sidwell seems headed straight into it. Will this end with Sidwell behind bars, or worse? I lean toward the idea that he might not survive this final confrontation. It is a bold direction, and it feels fresh compared to some of the older mob stories we saw in the 90s. Back then, enemies often just disappeared or left town. Today, the stakes seem higher, and the show is not afraid to let long-term consequences linger. Carly's anger toward Brennan also has me completely hooked. She has every right to be furious that he pulled Jocelyn into the WSB. I loved watching her get a small measure of satisfaction when Brennan discovered her relationship with Valentine, but I know that was only the beginning. Carly is not the type to let things go easily, and I believe she will play a major role in the trouble heading Brennan's way. What I find interesting is how this revenge feels more personal than some of her past conflicts. It is not just about power or money. It is about protecting her daughter. That motherly fire makes her story so relatable even after all these decades. I keep asking myself whether Carly will go too far this time. My gut tells me she will stop just short of real disaster, but she will make Brennan regret his choices. The younger generation is not being left out either. The tension between Danny and Rocco has surprised me in the best way. When Rocco returns to Port Charles, he is going to face Danny's full anger over the shooting of Ross Cullum. Danny feels Rocco should have confessed instead of letting Jason take the fall. I understand both sides. Rocco was trying to protect his father, which is admirable, but Danny's sense of justice is strong too. Their friendship may never be the same, and that breaks my heart a little. Still, I think this conflict is important. It shows how the children of these complicated families are growing up and forming their own moral codes. In my long years of watching, I have rarely seen a teenage rivalry handled with this much emotional depth. It makes me excited to see how their relationship evolves over the coming months. Ethan's story is another one that has me intrigued. His past is catching up with him, and someone from those earlier days is now targeting him directly. Whether it involves Phoebe's father or someone else entirely, Ethan is clearly scared and ready to run. I have always had a soft spot for Ethan because he carries that love-it charm mixed with real vulnerability. Seeing him forced to confront old mistakes reminds me of how the show has always excelled at bringing history back to haunt characters. It is never truly over in Port Charles, is it? That sense of unfinished business keeps the town feeling alive and dangerous in the most entertaining way. What fascinates me most about this current period is how these dark plans are going further than before, yet the people behind them are the ones starting to pay the heaviest prices. Port Charles seems on the verge of several new arrests, and old truths that have stayed buried for years are finally coming into the light. I believe this shift is making the show more compelling than it has been in quite some time. Instead of dragging out mysteries for a full year, the writers are allowing revelations to happen at a pace that feels urgent and satisfying. It reminds me of the golden era in the late 80s and early 90s, when every week brought major turning points, but with modern emotional honesty that younger viewers also appreciate. I have to say, I am particularly pleased that the show is balancing these intense revenge arcs with genuine character growth. Yes, there is danger and confrontation, but there is also room for reflection. Characters are being forced to examine their choices, and that adds layers I truly enjoy at my age. I do not need constant action without meaning. I want to see how these events change people, and right now General Hospital is delivering both the fireworks and the heartfelt moments. Looking ahead, I cannot help but wonder which secret will explode first. Will Brooke Lynn's confession destroy her marriage before Sidwell's trap even closes? Or will Carly's moves against Brennan intersect with the trouble surrounding Ethan? The beauty of the show is that any of these things could happen, and usually several threads weave together in surprising ways. I have learned over decades of watching not to underestimate the writer's ability to connect stories I never thought belonged together. One thing I appreciate is how friendly and familiar the town still feels, even when chaos reigns. The nurses at General Hospital, the familiar faces at the Metro Court, and the everyday conversations between characters remind us that life continues even amid these storms. It keeps the show grounded and prevents the drama from becoming too overwhelming. That balance is something the writers have perfected over time, and I am grateful for it. Lately, the stories feel even more layered because of the new adjustments the writers are making, especially with several familiar faces from the past returning to Port Charles. These returns are not just simple cameos. They are stirring up fresh troubles and proving that some old wounds never fully heal. The town is buzzing with tension, and I find myself looking forward to each new episode with the same excitement I felt back in the 1980s. One of the most significant developments involves the reappearance of certain characters who bring with them long-buried secrets. These returns are forcing everyone to confront unfinished business, and the ripple effects are spreading quickly. What impresses me is how the show is handling these adjustments with care. Instead of throwing everyone back into the mix at once, the writers are weaving the returns into existing storylines, creating natural conflicts that feel earned after all these years. Of course, the revenge plots I mentioned before are still very much alive and gaining momentum. Brooke Lynn's scheme against Willow continues to unravel, and I remain convinced her confession to Chase about the accident with Jordan will shake their marriage to its core. At my age, I have seen many marriages tested on this show, but this one feels particularly painful because I have always rooted for Chase to find happiness. Will he be able to move past the betrayal? I think he might, but it will take real work and time, which is exactly what makes good drama. Meanwhile, Sidwell's pursuit of Sunny is reaching a dangerous peak. Sunny has always been one step ahead, and I believe this time will be no different. The trap is set, and Sidwell seems destined to fall into it. I wonder if we will see an arrest or something more final. Either way, it proves that in Port Charles, those who seek revenge often end up paying the highest price. This theme feels stronger now than in previous years, and I appreciate how the show is letting consequences matter. Carly's determination to make Brennan pay for involving Jocelyn also keeps me engaged. Her protective instincts as a mother have always been one of her best qualities. With Valentine in the picture, things are even more complicated. I suspect Carly's next moves will create major problems for Brennan, and I cannot wait to see how far she is willing to go. It is refreshing to watch a character like Carly remain fierce and loyal after so many years. The younger characters are facing their own challenges too. Danny's anger toward Rocco over the shooting of Ross is creating a heartbreaking rift between the boys. When Rocco returns, the confrontation is going to be intense. I have always enjoyed watching the next generation grow up, and this storyline shows real emotional depth. Their friendship may be damaged, but I hope they find a way to heal eventually. It reminds me of the complicated bonds between Jason and his friends in earlier decades. Now, the newest layer that has me completely fascinated involves the returns that are adding fresh hauntings to the canvas. Jason's presence is once again central, and his story continues to intersect with so many others in meaningful ways. But what truly stands out are the appearances of Hudson and Z. Their returns are creating a new kind of obsession and haunting that feels different from anything we have seen recently. These characters from the past are bringing back memories and conflicts that many of us had almost forgotten. I believe this proves that the show is entering a particularly rich period where old ghosts refuse to stay quiet. The arrival of Hudson and Z is stirring up new troubles that connect directly to the revenge arcs already in motion. Jason finds himself caught in the middle once again, and his interactions with these returning figures are raising the stakes for everyone. I keep asking myself how Jason will balance protecting his family while dealing with these resurfacing threats. My sense is that he will handle it with the quiet strength we have come to expect, but not without personal cost. This new haunting adds emotional weight to the summer stories and makes the entire town feel alive with possibility. What I love most about these adjustments is how they prove General Hospital is still evolving. The writers are not afraid to bring back characters who can challenge the status quo and force growth. In my many years of watching, I have noticed that the best periods of the show happen when the past is allowed to influence the present in surprising ways. These returns are doing exactly that. They are creating new obsessions, new alliances, and new conflicts that keep me guessing.